back to Simbright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. So in this class we'll be learning how to make this kiddies off shoulder cut together dress, as you can see, with better embellishment, as you can see right there. So here is the gown, and you can see it's looking actually beautiful and sitting on the shoulder, as you can see. So right now I'll be showing you the back of this dress. So this is the back of this dress, and you can see it's actually looking beautiful and wonderful. The dress as it is right there, you can see is actually sitting on the shoulder. That is what makes it an off-shoulder dress right here. Okay, so if this is what you want to learn in this tutorial, please stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So in this class I'll be showing you how I made this beautiful off-shoulder cut together dress for a kid, as you can see right there on the thumbnail. So I have the kiddies half scale bodies already, and here is my shoulder line for the kiddies. Here is our chest line. Okay, so please forget about this line. That was a mistake. The kid has no dresses has no darts, because they are still children and there's no bust. So you ignore the chest line. Next you'll be having is the waist line. So I've imputed the shoulder measurement, armhole, whatever that is required for this. So this is the basic bodice block for the child. So the next thing I want to do is from the shoulder line here, I'm coming down by 3.5. This is my 3.5, and I'm going to connect this because I'm making a rounded or a round neckline for the child. So I'll just use the curvy part of my ruler, and I'm going to connect it at the tip. I'm connecting at the tip of the, at the tip right here. So from this tip I'll come out a little bit, so you can see how I kept my pattern ruler. So now we need to also have our sleeve connected to this point, but then we need to have little calculation for that. So the shoulder measurement, shoulder to shoulder, I'm using is 13. So I'm going to multiply 13 by 2. That is for full shoulder, for front and for back. Okay, so I have 26. So you just multiply your shoulder by 2. You have 26, the child's shoulder. And the child's round shoulder measurement I'm working with is 34 inches. So the round shoulder measurement, which is 34, I'm going to minus it with shoulder times 2, which is 26. And my result is 8 inches. So this 8 inches, because I'm working on a quarter of my sleeve, I'll divide it by 2. And if I do that, by 4, a quarter, I'll have 2 inches. So the sleeve extension here will measure 2 inches for that child. So at that point of 2 inches, the next thing I'm going to do is to keep my ruler to get 90 degrees. Okay, so you need to actually square that line. So I'm using my protractor I have inside my my pattern ruler. So if you actually know how to use your protractor, that will help you. But if you don't know how to use it, just try and have your line squared at that point. So the squaring of my line here I'll be having 90 degrees. So now I'm going to measure the length of the sleeve I'm working with. So the length of the sleeve I'm working with for this child, I'll be using 2 inches, and I think it's okay. So these 2 inches now, I'm going to place my pattern ruler. You can see how I place the curvy part. This curvy part has to go into the armhole, and you keep navigating it to run into the armhole. So you can see, so the child's armhole comes out that way for that child. So that is it. And now the off-shoulder dress is ready. So there's nothing so much in making children dresses, because it's actually very plain, no bust here, no bust. So if you want to make a V line for this, if you are making a V neckline, all you need to do is to place your ruler on that point. Okay, but that means you come down a little bit. If you are making a V line, just draw a straight line this way. So but we are just making a rounded neckline. So I just go ahead and cut, and the front is ready now. So I'm going into the armhole. Can you see? So it's actually looking very beautiful. I think I like what I have here on the pattern. So this is going to be on fold. The front, when I'm cutting it now, I'm going to cut it on fold. Then coming over to the back, I will simply place chest line to chest line to form the back. Okay, so I'm having the same neckline for my back. I just place it this way. So I'm trying to make sure I match it appropriately. So I'll just go ahead and place this to match what I have. So I'll just trace it out. So there's no much. So it's just practically the same thing for front and back. So, but the only difference for this back is that I'm going to contour the child's back. Okay, so I'm contouring the child's back by ½ an inch because it's still a child of 9 years old. So I'm making this dress for a 9 years old child. So you have an idea. So this is the back contour line which I'm going to cut off. So if I'm cutting that back contour line off, it means I will remeasure my the child's chest, okay, and mark just to add up to what I am removing. So I mark the child's waist. Then I'm going to reconnect the child bodies to avoid shortage. So you can see what we contoured here. That's why so this will now extend to this point, and we are good to go. So we'll be having a zip at this point. I'm contouring now. We are going to have a zipper. So this becomes the back, and my zip will be here for this off shoulder. So this is our pattern right now we have for front and back off shoulder for the child. So the armhole, the child's armhole will pass through these points as we proceed. Okay, so another thing I want to say, sometimes you might want the armhole, not since it's still a child, if you don't want the armhole as big as it is right here, you can raise up what we have right here. We can come up a little bit, but I just think it's okay what we'll have. So what I mean by that is, if you don't want the armhole too exposed, I'll just show you what you can do to eliminate exposure. So this is what you can do. I'll just put my pepper here and apply my adhesive right there. So I'll just step up my chest line. That is what I mean. From the chest line, instead of going on a chest line, I'll just do this. I'll come up by maybe 3/4 of an inch. I don't want to do 1 inch because it might be too much. Okay, so I'll just go up 3/4 of an inch and redraw my new chest line. This becomes the new chest line, and you can now come back on the chest line. That means our sleeve will start, the cutting will start at this point, and then I will have the armhole. I'll be using the smaller part of my pattern ruler. So if you don't want it too exposed, this is where the sleeve will pass. So I think we'll do this one because I don't actually want the sleeve to be too exposed, and at the same time I don't also want it to be tight. So it depends on what you actually want for this dress. So I'll just go up there so it's not too open, and then I will do this. Okay, so by the time I sew, all of these are the armhole. Okay, so another thing you can also use to check what you have done is, this is the child's armhole, normal armhole, 6.5. Then from here I still have 6.5. So you can see we are still on track. So that is that. Now I'll come back here and I'm going to do the same thing I did right here. I just raise up the armhole. Alright, so I've done the same for the back right now. So this is the armhole. So by the time this dress is sewn, you can see the armhole right now. So that is the space for the armhole. So if you still want, you can leave it where it was before. Okay, that is what we had before. But I just feel like I don't want it so tight, and I want to show you what you can do if I don't want it too open. So I want to show you what you can do if you feel what you have on the armhole is looking so big. You can come up and have a new chest line. So now I'm going to cut this right now on fabric. Now I'm done cutting my patterns, and I'm going to explain to you what I just did here. This is the center front, which I placed on fold, and 0.5 inch on the armhole. On the shoulder seam line I added 2 inches, as you can see. Okay, so here I have my lining, I also have my fabric. Okay, so that is that for this, and for this is the back, 2 inches on the side. This is actually a kid. As she grows up, we can, loosen out the size for her to still wear the dress. So I have 1 inch for my zipper allowance. I have 0.5 inch, 0.5 inch all around, and my lining at the back as well. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to join this dress on the seam, the neckline. So I'll quickly go now to my machine for the center front area. For the front area, this is what I have. I'll just go ahead and join. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to join the neckline. Okay, so that's how to go about this kind of sewing of this off-shoulder dress. So I just go ahead and join this part and top stitch. I'll also go ahead and join the armhole and stop somewhere before the 2 inches. Stop somewhere before the 2 inches. So let me quickly do that. So now I've gone ahead to sew the neckline. So you can see my neckline has been sewn, and I made sure I pinned before I sew. So I'm taking off my pins right now. And again, you can see I used my hemming gum, okay, to sew my neckline. Okay, so when I turn it and iron, it relaxes nice and flat for me. Okay, so it's on the lining part I place the hemming gum. So I'm going to notch my neckline, the 0.5 inch I stitched. I'm going to notch on it. Okay, so once I'm done with my notches, I'll just go ahead and top stitch right now. So I'll be top stitching, flipping all my seams to the part of the lining. So I have a little excess here. That does not matter. It's because of the lining expansion and contraction. So I just trim it off here, and it does not affect anything. So I'll flip all my seams this way now and top stitch very close to the neckline. Give it a good press. Then I'll bring it back to show you how to finish the arm. So right now I've top stitched. If you look closely, you can see my top stitching lines. So I'll flip it back again to the wrong side, and I'm going to sew the armhole. So I'll just pin around my armhole right now. So I'm pinning in a way I can sew on top. So I'll just go ahead and sew my armhole up to the point of my 2 inches, leaving the 2 inches open to sew the sides. Now you can see I'm done with the armhole. So I pin in a way I can sew, and I stitched from beginning, stopping before the 2 inches seam allowance. I also did the same for that other part. So I use my hemming gum as well. Okay, so you can see my hemming gum here. I use this, so by the time we turn, it also relaxes for us. So the next thing I want to do now is to place notches. So I'm going to also place notches. Okay, this is a curvy part of the armhole, and notches are very important, so it will be able to turn, accordingly once we start turning it. So I'm going to repeat what I did right here now for front and back. So, and next I will do is to flip what I have here. I'm flipping everything, as you can see right here. I'll flip to the front and give it a good press. Okay, so I'll just go now, press it down. I will also do that for the back, so you can see the neckline. So I'll give it a good press now, then bring the back and the front together, so we'll be able to join these together. I'm done with the back, so I just want to show you what I did. The back, the two of them. So I have to start stitching after 1 inch for my zipper. So this part is going to be the zipper part. I left it and I stitched 0.5 to the end. Okay, so I'm taking off my pins for the both back now. I'll go ahead and do the same top stitching. So I'll top stitch, flipping all my seams, after which I'll cut off this excess. Like I said, it's because of fabric expansion. So I'm just going to make notches. Okay, make notches and top stitch. All right, so this is what it looks like right now. I'm done with the back and the front, and I've given it a good press. So I left my 2 inches opening to sew lining to lining, fabric to fabric, to have a perfect inseam finishing. So now you can see they are all in separate pieces. So I'm going to join them. I'll be using one of the back to show you how to join the back. Okay, so now this is the back. For the front, I'm going to put in my hands here. Okay, so I'm putting in my hands. So once I put my hands, I'm going to insert this into this. Okay, So first of all, just insert to make it easy for you to turn. Just insert, have this insert before you inserted before you put in your hands. Can you see? I inserted this inside this. Okay, then I'll now put my hands and turn it around. So you can see that. So that is how to sew these off shoulder. So you can see the one I inserted and I brought it this way. So by the time you bring it, right side will be by right side and lining part will be by lining part. So I'm going to arrange it appropriately now. Can you see? So I'll just go over to my machine now. As you can see, I have it inside. The front piece now is inside this. So you can see how I did that. So I'll just go ahead now and stitch my 0.5 inch which I added. So I will stitch it now and I'll bring it back for you to see. So now you can see I've sewn at 0.5. So I'm going to turn it around. So I'm done turning it and this is what I have, as you can see right there. Okay, so that's how to go about it. So the next thing we are going to do now, still on one side, which I'm using to show you, I'll now go ahead and sew from my 2 inches seam allowance. So I'll just go and sew from here 2 inches and close up, flip this one this way. In fact, you can even pin it and sew straight at 2 inches. So I'll do that now. I'm done sewing the sides. So I came up by 1 inch because I'm going to attach the lower piece. So I stitched straight. So once you come to this midline, you just put them together and sew just on a straight course. I did that for this part as well. So by the time I turn my dress right now, this is what I have on the armhole. So I'll just go ahead and give it a good press. So this is my armhole for the kid. Can you see that? And this is it. So this dress is actually looking nice and beautiful. So this is the inside. You have a perfect inseam finishing. That's what we are trying to achieve. So we want to sew it in a way that inside and outside you won't see any seams at all. So I'll just go ahead now and open up my seams, give them a good press so it relaxes nice and flat. Okay, so I'll just place my steam iron and iron it down. So at the end of the day, everything lays this way for us. All right, so now I'm done sewing the sleeves. I'm done joining everything, so you can see how the inside looks like. Very neat and perfect. So I will be sewing the down part of this off shoulder dress. I'll sew in the down part right now and install the zipper. Okay, so I will be done with this class. Now I've gone ahead to attach or sew the down piece. I just made a few gathers to the down piece, as you can see. So this is the gathers I made on the upper part of the body and the down. So I just sew my trimming to decorate it. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and sew my trimming, add my lining and sew my zipper. That's how we'll come to the end of this tutorial. So thank you very much for coming to this class and see you in the next class. Bye.